get on to the meat and potatoes because I know y'all were coming to see a lot of the. I can't believe they just said that um, comments and stuff in the comment section. So I want you guys to go ahead and brace yourselves because they definitely hit us with the wazoo. So take a listen to this.
I'm a 30-year-old female, and I've been seeing a guy who's 43 years old for the past 2 weeks. We've been on about 3 dates so far, and he's fun to be around, but doesn't seem to have any ambition. He was in a band in his 30s, and he was mainly working in music most of his life. He works at a grocery store and quit his job this week because of some work drama. He told me he was looking for another job as a building manager. It's confusing to me because he went to a good university and majored in philosophy. He told me he can't really find a job with his degree, which I feel like isn't true. He also has some bad habits like drinking every night and smoking. I don't know if he's an alcoholic because I just met him, but it seems to be the case. My question is, should I give this guy a chance? I really enjoy being with him and he makes me laugh. He's really sweet too, and I think a part of me feels bad for him and wants to take care of him. Am I being shallow because I want a guy who has a successful career? I'm an ambitious person and currently getting my doctorate degree in social work, and I've always dated guys who were the same. Will I regret it in the future if I continue to see him?
All right, this is similar to the woman from last week that was complaining about the fact that he wasn't already rich and famous. So let's start off with understanding you have already dated guys in the past who getting their PhDs and everything to that effect. And you have to ask yourself, why are there so many exes that were supposedly driven to success and that relationship didn't work out? Now, when it comes down to this gentleman here, he might have peaked. He's 43. Let's start off there. He's 43, and it is harder for a 43-year-old to bounce back in life than it is for a 23-year-old. 23-year-olds just starting out, they're able, even though society is less forgiving to men. Fact is that society is more forgiving to younger people. You're just starting to hit the ground running, not really running, more like crawling, more like limping, more like hobbling with great haste. And the fact is that the opportunities that were afforded to you as a young kid fresh out of your mom's house, or a college student 2 years into their degree, you have ambition, you have potential, and everybody wants to see the next generation succeed. So they put more effort into the success of the next generation. At 43, society has tried and you have failed. So nobody's trying to really get you back on your feet at 43. Nobody's trying to aid you in your success at 43. So if dude was in college at some point in time, he tried. His college didn't go the way he wanted it to go. Then after he walked out of college, he walked into uh, the industry that he walked into, a manual labor job. And then that manual labor job didn't really pan out for him. Then he moves out of that. And now he's trying to find something else in like another warehouse kind of job. The dude is still trying to find work. Okay. At least work that pays, even if it's not work that he likes to do. So you're saying that he doesn't have ambition because he's not choosing a prestigious employment. And I think that's ridiculous. If the man is not sitting at the house playing video games and leaving all the responsibility on you, like some of the other guys that we had talked about a couple weeks ago, then the man is not lacking ambition. He's just lacking opportunities because his age and poor choice have destroyed a lot of the opportunities that once would have made him successful. So it's not that at 43 he's not ambitious. It's just that at 43 he's not as successful as you would have hoped he would be. But that does not mean that if you're going to be a good girlfriend and if you're going to lead yourself into being a good wife, that you cannot be supportive in his ability to become stable. Because at 43, a 20-year plan to make him successful to the level of success that you want is possible, but that means that from your 30s to your 50s, you will be dedicating yourself to a man who was not successful when you got him. And I'm going to be honest with you, most women don't do that. Most women do not, especially in their 30s. Most women want the finished product at 30, 35, 40. Most women want the finished product. They do not want a guy that is trying to make it, that is trying to bounce back, especially if a catastrophic failure just happened recently. Not a lot of women want that type of individual to be on her ticket. She would prefer a guy that, if he had a catastrophic failure, it was like 5 or 10 years ago. He's recovered from it. He's learned from it. He's now embracing the success that he is now, and he's willing to share that success with her. That's what women are looking for these days. They're not looking for a guy that's struggling, that's down and out, that's one step away from bankruptcy, that's got more debt than they've got revenue. That's not Modern women aren't looking for that. So when you say that he doesn't have ambition just because he does not have a stable income, that's not true. He could have all the ambition in the world, but at 43, the opportunities aren't in his favor. Now, if you're going to be a good woman, then you're going to stick with him and you're going to aid him in his ability to be successful. Find out what kind of skills he has, help him with job searches. If the ones that he's looking for is outside of his capabilities, find some that are inside of his capabilities. Instead of bashing him about the fact that he's not successful, go find something that he's good at. That's what you can do. One of the things that I've asked women on the show more often than not is, in every relationship you've ever been in, you can find a relationship where you've gotten nothing out of it, but you can also find a relationship where you have improved because of the relationship. No man can testify that every relationship that he got into, that he walked away from that relationship gaining something of value from the woman that he was with. And no woman can say that she found a man that was down and out, or that she found a man that was stable and she invested time and effort and resources into that man, and that man ended up being more successful with her than what he was before her, where when she walked away from him, she walked away from a more successful man. No woman says that. Most women that walk away from the man is because he never reached the level of potential that she expected him to have, and because of that, she's walking away. But she doesn't put that effort into him to make him successful. He's got to do that on his own. And if he doesn't achieve, she's walking away. Now, that puts a stigma on the men because the men are now going to be subconscious about their level of success or their lack of success the older they get, which is going to make it harder for men to get out there and socialize with the women to find a woman that would accept him for where he is financially, even though she wants to be accepted for who she is, how she behaves, and whatever characteristic flaws that she has developed over the years. Double standard. So, long story short, miss, yeah, if you're in a position where the guy's not where he needs to be at in life, but you really claim to care about him, help him get there. If you don't care about him as much as you claim, walk away. That's what I got for you. Now let's move on to the next one.
I want to leave my boyfriend. We've been
Oh shit.
together for a little over a year, moved to a different city and started living together. At first, everything was good, but he started treating me possessively and using me. That spark is gone. He gets mad that the house isn't clean and that I don't cook, even though he himself has completely killed any desire I had to do anything. He constantly puts himself first, never thinks about the feelings of others, and treats my loved ones terribly. In some ways, I've lost almost all of my friends because of him, and I've completely stopped going out. He constantly controls me. He doesn't control or filter what he says to me. I've tried talking to him many times, but it just irritates him. I treat his family and friends very well, but I can't do this anymore. But I can't bring myself to leave him. I don't have the strength. Has anyone else experienced a similar situation, and if so, what did you do?
Yeah, yeah. A lot of us have experienced that situation before when a man is dating a woman that does not want to cooperate and she complains about it. Yeah, that's a very tough scenario from the female's perspective, because remember, ladies and gentlemen, this is not a red pill, black pill, blue pill podcast. Um, This is a 70% male podcast from the male's perspective, but I also entertain the conversation from the female's perspective. From the female's perspective, if you're dealing with an overly unnecessarily controlling man, we covered this on the show yesterday about being controlled unnecessarily. And when we look at this part, if he has separated you from your family and separated you from your friends, and now you've become solely dependent upon him, and he's criticizing you, and all of these other things that we covered on yesterday's show, um, that is the type of scenario where you try to negotiate a more effective way to mitigate the relationship where you're not being dominated and controlled, but you are actually working with your partner for common goals. If that can't work after a while, then you're supposed to walk away from the relationship. So, from the lady's perspective, if he really is being unnecessarily overbearing and extremely unacceptable to your expectations, then the most appropriate way to resolve that situation, since communication is not working for you, is to leave. Now, from the male's perspective, you admit that your role in the relationship is somewhere related to the cooking and cleaning and supportive roles in the relationship to the primary caregiver, the primary income of the household. So if you are in fact not doing your part in the relationship, but you're complaining about him telling you to do your part in a relationship, you're causing an unnecessary problem that you should not be causing. You're claiming that he killed it, he killed your desire to be helpful by telling you to be helpful. Well, ma'am, if you were helpful out the gate, he wouldn't have to tell you to be helpful. Then the other thing is the controlling thing, because you call it controlling, but ladies have to understand they claim that they want to be led. They claim that they want a man that is masculine to the magnitude of potentially dominating, but they don't want to be dominated and they don't want to be quote unquote controlled. However, they don't want to be controlled to the magnitude that they don't want to be told anything ever. They want to dictate terms, but they want to be led. Those types of women are, I'm not going to say toxic, but they're confusing because you cannot want somebody to lead you if you are not willing to follow instructions. What this means is if you select this person to represent your best interests, if you select this person to make decisions on your behalf, that takes away from your decision making requirements, which means now you proactively focus all of your efforts on supportive roles. Whatever he's trying to accomplish, you put in the effort to help him get there. Whatever you're trying to succeed at, he's going to put in to help you get there. So what we're looking at is that if you don't want him to tell you what to do and how to do it, then you don't really want to be in a relationship with a man that is leading. You want to be in a relationship with a man that is either extremely compromising or submissive to your authority. But even in marriage, the vows are in the patriarchal societies that you, as a female, are supposed to love and obey in sickness and in health, for better or for worse, till death do you part. So whether he's rich or poor, you're supposed to love him and obey him, which means that when he gives you an instruction, you're supposed to do that to the best of your ability, not argue with him, not challenge him. But if you do have information that might um, modify his judgment, then yeah, you can mention something, but completely outright challenging his authority, that's not what you chose him for. If that's going to be where you're going to be in your relationship, then you're not even looking at an egalitarian relationship. You're looking at being the head of household, dictating terms, which is fine. Women can lead relationships. They're more dictators than men, but women can lead relationships. The hardest part about leading in a relationship is just like the first woman that was on the show, is that the women lose value in the men that they're dating when the woman is in charge. When the woman has more responsibility than the man, the woman is She has less respect and less value for the man. So now the problem is, how do you respect and value and love and appreciate your man if you're not willing to follow the lead of the man, if you're not willing to be the dependent to the man, and if you don't want to cooperate in a uh, interdependent relationship? How does that work for you as the woman? Because as a man, we'll just leave you and go find a woman half your age and make it work with that person because that person is more cooperating. Not because they're younger, not because they're easily impressionable, because they're not bringing a bunch of bullshit to the table. They're not bringing unrealistic demands to the table. If a 22-year-old is not trying to check your credit score, check your background, and try to make it seem like if you're not a Fortune 500 fella, that she's not gonna work with you. A 25-year-old or 22-year-old, a 23 or 24-year-old, they're looking for a stable environment, preferably a non-violent, stable environment. And if the guy's got that, he's like, look, we got a stable environment, but we can make it better. Work with me, we'll make it better. And they're more likely to have that partner that is going to cooperate with them the way he needs cooperation. 35 and 40, 50, 55, not so much so. They quote unquote know what they want. They're not willing to change. They're not willing to compromise. They're not willing to flex. And in those situations, if you're trying to get into a relationship, you're either finding a subordinate man, which you're not going to respect down the line, or you're going to have to change, keeping your core expectations to some degree, but you will have to change for your partner. And until that mentality has developed in the middle-aged women, it's going to be hard for you to be happy with the guy that you chose when the guy that you would be happy with you don't respect, which makes you unhappy, or the guy that you respect that you chose you're not happy with because you don't have the authority of the boss. It's like it's a double-edged sword for you ladies. So, but y'all choose. You ladies make the choice. Y'all make it the man's responsibility for the guy to pursue you. He doesn't know what he's getting himself into because you only have to be cute. He has to be the total package. You have to be attractive. He finds out what he gets himself into after you have agreed to stay. Until you agree to stay, his whole mission in life is getting you to agree to stay. The entire time that he's trying to get you to agree to stay, you are weeding through his assets, you're weeding through his finances, you're weeding through his skill sets, and then you're comparing that to the other 7 or 20 guys that are also trying to convince you to stay at the same time. It's like a very expensive auction for an application fee that is non-refundable to all the participants of the auction, and everybody's bid is kept, but nobody actually walks away with what they're bidding on. That's kind of how this works. It's not supposed to work this way, but because it works this way, when you choose one dude, that's the guy you've got to make it work with, whether you like it or not. Now, I'm going to tell you one more time before we move on. Since you chose a guy that is different from the other guys, those relationships didn't work. And those were all degree driven men that were career driven men that had ambition, and your relationship didn't work. Now you've got a guy who, at 43, passed up on the degree, passed up on being in a rock band, passed up on middle management in a blue collar job, and is now trying to find better work. See where this relationship goes, because it's different from the norm. If your normal choice doesn't work ever, which is why you're not with any of those guys, your next choice is what you're supposed to be trying to see if you can make work. Now let's go ahead and check on the next one.
My ex-girlfriend and I are both 22, and we both tested positive for chlamydia, but she still insists she didn't cheat, and now I barely recognize who she is. These last few months have been some of the hardest I've gone through. I've leaned on a few close friends, but it's still been a lot to process. I recently tested positive for chlamydia. I was in a relationship for almost a year with my ex-girlfriend, and I haven't been with anyone else sexually or otherwise that whole time. I've always been careful, got tested regularly, and even showed her both my 2023 and early 2024 STI results, all negative. It had actually started off as a great week for us. A bunch of our friends had just graduated from university, and we were celebrating with them and had plans lined up for the weekend. Then, out of nowhere, she started having really bad abdominal pain that went from her stomach up to her shoulder. At first, we even wondered if it could be pregnancy-related because of how severe the pain and cramping were, but that wasn't the case. I took her to the ER twice. The first time, the doctors brushed it off with ibuprofen and told her to follow up with a gynecologist. The second time, they told her she also had a bladder infection. That's when she found out she had chlamydia. I got tested the same day and found out I was positive too. I've only been with her, so it felt like a punch to the gut. When I asked her about it, she swore she hadn't been with anyone else and said she never cheated. She couldn't find her 2024 STI results because she's been bouncing between multiple hospitals, but she did show me her 2023 ones. She also asked me not to tell my parents, which only made me more uneasy. When I asked how she thought she could have gotten it, she said maybe from a toilet seat. I know that.
Oh, hold on. I gotta stop there. Okay, so this is some bullshit. Now, that was that excuse happens, and uh, that's not how it goes. That excuse is the worst excuse to give. So here's the thing, bro. You've got all of your records, and she's missing the last time she tested positive, probably because she didn't test positive that year and she had to take something and she didn't want you to know about it. But she's gonna find the one that she tested positive on to be like, oh yeah. So you gotta understand now, this is a very recent post here in 2025, like this week kind of post. So he's got his 2025, he failed because of her. 2024, he did good, which was last year. In 2023, he did good, all testing negative. The last time she tested negative was 2023. We're in 2025. So for 2 years, you haven't tested positively that you can prove. That's a problem, especially if you guys have been in a long-standing relationship. Dodged a bullet probably the first time, and she got cleaned up before you guys got involved. But when they come and give you that Virgin Mary scenario, like, oh man, maybe I've got it from a toilet seat. First of all, your butt goes on the toilet seat, not your junk. So there is no way that a STD that is supposed to be transmitted inside the body is going to formulate on the thighs of the cheeks when you're sitting on a toilet seat, and then it finds its way going all the way into the body and infecting the body. That doesn't happen. That doesn't happen. It comes from direct exposure to the infected bodily fluids. Which makes no sense. They're like, oh, maybe it was a toilet seat. She's full of shit, bro. What happened was she was out there throwing it back with the wrong person. She caught something. She didn't really pay attention to it. Then it started showing in her physical condition. And now you got to take her to all of these expensive medical appointments. And now you're sitting over here regretting the fact that you're still dating this chick. Notice he started at the top of this discussion that he was like, "Man, this is my ex." I know because I would have broke up with that bitch too. That's the kind of chick that's gonna end up pregnant. That's not gonna be your baby. But if you don't pay attention, she'll try to make it seem like it is. Let's keep moving with this
That's
gentleman.
not how chlamydia works. And if she really had it this whole time, her 2023 results wouldn't have been negative. The timeline lines up almost perfectly with a family Vegas trip she took around early May. We were still officially together during that time, but we didn't see each other for about 3 days because she was away on that trip. It wasn't some break. where either of us was free to see other people. She was with her mom, stepdad.
Hold on. Before we keep going, I don't give a fuck what kind of break y'all got in the relationship. When y'all have a falling out, that relationship is either still happening or you will never see each other in life. The break is supposed to be that you're taking time apart from the argument itself to calm down and regroup and then approach the discussion from a mature fashion. You're not taking a break where you're free to smash other people because there are so many people in 2025 that are willing to start an argument in their relationship so that they can, special shout out to mixed martial arts, so that they can have that break in the relationship, go sleep with somebody else, then come back and get back together. We're gonna work it out now. Now that I have grind my loins with someone else, now we're gonna come back and try to piece the relationship back together. You might as well just have an open relationship when you guys treat having a relationship break as um the catalyst to go cheat, because that's what you're doing. You're cheating. Because if you're dedicated to your relationship, you're not having a break and then having an affair during the break. You're either in the relationship or you're not. You're taking space away from one another so that you guys can work it out, or you're going to end the relationship altogether. There is no break for an affair. But this gentleman's talking about how she just went away with her family for a family vacation and he wasn't involved in because he's not officially part of the family. He's just her boyfriend, not part of the family kind of thing. And while they're gone for 3 days, she ended up turning it out and coming back. What happens in Vegas doesn't always stay in Vegas because some things take 14 to 24 days of penicillin to fix your situation. And that it is what it is. I was watching it as it was about to do it. I was like, hold up. This is what happened yesterday. I was watching it as it was about to do it. I was like, yep. It flashed across the screen that this thing was about to reboot all of my browsers in the middle of my live stream. Oh man, that sucks. But it at least I don't lose the connection. That's one of the good parts about it. I don't lose the connection. But special shout out to mixed martial arts. He says, I am going to burn for eternity for being gay. Why? Why? Why do you believe that? I, I want to go ahead and talk about this particular portion of things real quick before we get back to what we were just analyzing. And I want to go ahead and just let you know, brother. Uh, the Bible never said anything about gay being bad. I just want to point that out real quick.
I'm a
Okay.
30-year-old.
The Bible never said anything about gay being bad. The what it was unnecessary lusting of another person. That was the complaint. Uh, then you also have to understand Sodom and Gomorrah. They use that story about Sodom and Gomorrah to say that homosexuality was a bad thing. And Sodom and Gomorrah was about unnecessary lust as well, where they were willing to accost the angels in order to seek heightened levels of sexual pleasure, which is equivalent to taking like ecstasy and LSD to increase your sexual experience. And you got to remember that even in the Bible, when Lot offered up his two virgin daughters for the community to accost instead of the angels, and they didn't want that; they wanted the angels. You got to remember that even in that story, Lot, who fled the town before it was destroyed, uh, fled the town into the mountains with his two daughters, and then ended up impregnating both of his daughters, and then his two grandsons became two kings, which promotes incest. Then you also have one of those two kings lost his kingdom because he was lusting over another man's wife, who, might I add, his wife was his sister incest again. Um, but nowhere in there does it say that specifically homosexuality is unacceptable. It is actually heterosexual uh, lust is more to the magnitude of a level of sinfulness than any type of. If you've got love for another person, regardless of whether or not they're the same gender of you, that's not uh, what has ever been expressed in the Bible as incorrect. But the ability to pay money for sexual desires, OnlyFans, pornography, and all of that is not all of it, but like those ideas are more like heterosexual scenarios, and it's still considered the areas of lust that is considered the area of sin, which is where you got more straight people burning in hell for all eternity than anybody gay. Because you seem like a genius with all of those answers. Well, I do a good job with putting my efforts out there to do my research. So I'm going to stick to the magnitude of letting you know that by far, you have to realize that it's not about who you are with, it's about um, why you're with them. If you're with them for noble causes, then I mean, what's wrong with that? And if you're with them just to get your rocks off, then you're lusting. And that doesn't matter if it's guy on guy, girl on girl, girl on guy, two guys, one girl, three girls, one cup. It doesn't matter how it is. If it's based purely off of lust, that's where the sin comes in at, based on Christian and Catholic religions. So, make sure that you guys like and subscribe. Now, let me see. I got to figure out where we were with the gentleman that was talking about how his girlfriend got him caught up.
And cramping were, but that wasn't the case.
Go a little bit further.
But she did show me her 2023 ones.
A little bit further.
Early May. We were once told me she prayed for someone like me in her life.
All right, so we're gonna back up some more.
Why? Symptoms for chlamydia usually show up 7 to 21 days after exposure, and hers started about 2 weeks after that trip. I wanted to give her the benefit of the doubt because she's someone who's been cheated on before and once told me she prayed for someone like me in her life. I thought she'd never do to someone else what had been done to her. But when I confronted her, she'd just say things like, I don't know who I am anymore, or sometimes I don't see a future together. It felt like she was dodging rather than being honest.
No, she was being honest. She was being completely honest, bro. She told you that she didn't see a future in your relationship. She used to not be a cheater, but now she's a cheater, and that's why she doesn't know who she is anymore. She slept with somebody in Vegas, and now that she knows what it's like to sleep around, now she wants to sleep around. She got chlamydia. She wasn't expecting that. She gave it to you because if she would not have gotten chlamydia, she would have cheated and not told you about it. But because you caught her now before she defends her position and tries to make amends and atone for it, now she recognizes this relationship is probably going to be over because there's only two things that a man will walk away from a relationship for, and that is infidelity and being tired of being mistreated. Those are the only two reasons why a man leaves. A woman will leave for everything under the sun, including that stuff. But a man will only leave because he's tired of being mistreated and infidelity. And if he's already being mistreated and he's hanging in there and then the infidelity comes, that's it. That's the icing on the cake. If he was in a content relationship that was kind of so, he really loved her, but it wasn't really going the way he had hoped, and now there's infidelity, that's it. That's it. If it's a rock solid relationship where there is literally nothing wrong from his side that he can observe and the infidelity comes, he might be able to work it out if it just happens that one time. And then if he finds out about the infidelity 5 years later because he's had such a great marriage, and then he finds out about it 5 years later that the infidelity is the reason why his kid is there, he might try to work that out. But that infidelity is usually a deal breaker because the purity of a woman is like one of the very few things that women are willing to bring to the table these days. Her loyalty and her devotion to him is the monogamy benefits her. It doesn't benefit him. So the fact that he's being monogamous to satisfy her. That's one of the very few things that a woman can do in a relationship that they're willing to do. Because there's a lot of things that women can do, they just don't want to. They don't feel like they have to. It's either not their responsibility, pro female liberation, or it's a man's job because of the same traditional expectations that are not adhered to a woman. It's the man's job to say and do and be. So it's kind of a catch 22. But no, bro, no, she's being very clear. This relationship is done. She's just trying to see. You got some people, men and women alike, that want to see exactly how much stuff they can get away with in this relationship. And they will start doing things in front of you and to you to see how much abuse you're willing to take. There are people in this world that will do that. And you have to set a standard. Your non negotiable expectations for behavior should lead you to certain types of behavior being unacceptable no matter how much you love them. So I'm going to say this again. Your non negotiable expectations for behavior, non negotiable expectations for behavior should dictate specific characteristics and behavior traits that are unacceptable no matter how much you love them. If they do this, they are gone. Okay. So it doesn't matter if we've been together 5 years. It doesn't matter if we've been together 30 years. If they do this, they are gone. So we could have 3 kids together. But when I find out that the third kid is not mine, I'm going to take the other 4 and I'm gone. And you can keep the one that ain't mine. And that's it. We will discuss the siblings hanging out with one another in a few months because as it stands right now, I'm pissed off. But me and my chillings is gone. This isn't a scenario where we're going to debate the facts, right? But let's go ahead and see what else this guy's got to say.
Hurts even more because of how much I gave to this relationship. I cared for her, comforted her, and even took care of her through all her health scares, letting her rest in my bed with high fevers while I was juggling final exams. When we first met, she opened up to me about her family drama, why she had to move.
Special shout out to Steven. Hey, Steven, he said extremely late, but we here. Oh, yeah, you're really late, bro. Hey, I started early today, so I've been on this bad boy for an hour. I started off time today. But no, we have this gentleman. He's going on a long rant right now. He's been dating this girl for a few years. She just went to Vegas in May and came back with chlamydia and gave it to him. And she's saying that she didn't cheat. And he's trying to process this. And I'm like, nah, bro. There was no accident there. There ain't no Virgin Mary situation there. She went out there, she was throwing it back like one of them flamingo girls in the Vegas Strip. And she got what she was looking for and came back with more than what she was expected to. It gave it to you. That's what we were talking about today so far. We got a few more questions and comments from the fans that's going on. We had another gentleman come up here and talk about a different
And
topic
how she was changing her lifestyle to better herself. I wanted to show her I was in it for the long haul. I even learned to play mahjong so I could bond with her grandmother and feel like I was part of her world. I knew she had a rough past, but what made me love and respect her so much was seeing how hard she was trying to grow and break away from all that. That made me want to be there for her even more, and it's why I asked her to be my girlfriend in a way I hoped she'd never forget, making that day as meaningful and special as I could. I've had longer relationships, but with her, it felt like something I could really see lasting. She was someone I genuinely saw a future with. I don't know what changed, but now it feels like that version of her, and the version of us is just gone.
Oh, what changed was she cheated on your ass in Vegas and came back and gave you an STD. That's what changed. She fucked up the whole rotation. That's what changed. Yeah, sometimes the plans don't go according to plan. And there are some situations where there isn't a backup plan. It's just over. It's just like this operation has failed. Abort, abort, abort. That's where you are right now, brother.
And now, she curses at me, ignores my calls, leaves me on read for hours or days. Even something as simple as getting my things back has turned into this dragged out, cold process, like I don't matter, like none of
Hold on. Before we go any further, any bro, when you break up with the chick, whatever you don't take with you day one, charge it to the game. All that going back and getting the rest of your things and everything like that, that is a passive aggressive way to try to see if there's anything left in the relationship because you stormed out emotionally and you're not thinking clearly. And then you want to go back for closure and go and get the last handful of things that you left behind so that you can have that final goodbye talk with them and rationalize what went down and oh we're both more mature. No, the fuck you're not. No, you're not. No. If she does not take responsibility for her actions and she's fussing and cussing, yelling at you and treating you bad because she got an STD in Vegas with her, she was hanging out with her family and she gave that STD to you, and she's treating you like shit instead of begging you to take her back and trying to repent for the situation, she ain't got no respect for you. So all the stuff that you did not grab when you was there having that discussion about why do I have an STD from you, when you didn't take all that stuff and put it in the back of your car and walk away with it, bro, you should have just slid and said, fuck all the rest of that stuff. It can stay gone. What's up, Greg? Greg Arnold is here. Special shout out to Greg Arnold. What you got going on for tonight, Greg? Michael said get even have sex with her sister. But how do you know the sister don't got chlamydia? Because you know sisters sometimes share the same dude. So if she caught chlamydia. What do you how do you know that the other people on the team don't got it? How do you know the other people on the squad don't got it? Is it eating almond butter sandwiches? All right. Ah, that's good. That's good. Are you put? Is it just like bread and almond butter, or do you have like meat and lettuce or and other stuff on it? That's weird. It's not bad. I've never tried almond butter sandwiches like two slices of bread and just butter on it. It's not good, man. Stop it. I don't know. I'm not gonna knock. I can't knock it until I try it. You're gonna make me buy almond butter and then do a video about an almond butter sandwich. But I would. I'm not. I've always been a cannibal, so I'm not gonna be. Look, I said cannibal, not a carnivore. I've always been a cannibal. Yes, ladies, I eat people. So, but think about the fact that I gotta put some meat on there somewhere. So I'm looking at like, maybe some lettuce, tomatoes, pickles, onions, and like steak, almond butter, and some Italian herb and cheese bread. That sounds decent because it's still butter, just made from almonds. Almonds is typically the best thing to go for individuals that are allergic to soy. So, hey, we do some healthy stuff on this channel from time to time because we have our Fit Chef. I need to be putting some of those Fit Chef links into some of our videos, but we have Fit Chef recipes that we use, and I try to do at least one a month. I've been falling behind on that, but I try to do at least once a month one of those Fit Chef recipes. But I think I'm going to be doing one in the next couple of weeks. So, hold on, let's get back to this gentleman with his trying to get his stuff back, and she's disrespecting him.
of what we shared meant anything at all. When we officially broke up, I even had to show her literal receipts to prove I hadn't cheated, something I never thought I'd have to do. Meanwhile, she
Oh,
never prioritized.
how she flipped the script? He got chlamydia from her. She didn't get chlamydia from him. She got chlamydia, and it got so bad she went to the hospital twice about it before she got treated for it. And because she got tested and was proven positive for chlamydia, he got tested and found out that he had it when he shown that the last 2 years, this year, last year, and the year before that, he was clean up until last month. How was he clean until last month? You went to Vegas in May. He was clean until June when he slept with you, and you the only person he just slept with since the last time he got tested. Now you're trying to make it seem like What, he got a better choice with sex partners because he didn't get chlamydia from another person? Got this man sitting up here showing you receipt. How can you show a receipt to prove that you ain't sleep with nobody? Because typically men don't get receipts. If any ladies in the audience that has ever written a receipt for a man after getting laid, please comment on that, because I don't think women give receipts for that. I don't even think that in the adult industry, the adult freelance workers, I don't think that women give receipts for that. That is usually a purely cash transactional situation, or worst case scenario, the guy buys something and he gives it to her, or she puts stuff at the register and he pays for it and she walks away with it. But there's never a receipt that proves that he got laid. Where if him getting laid turned out to be a bad lay and he's entitled to a refund because there's a 90-day guarantee on getting laid and he's got a receipt to prove that he got laid in the last 90 days and he wants his money back, then I don't understand that. Like I said, actually, it is not uncommon to pass it back and forth to your partner. One will get treated. Okay, that's true. So if the man catches it first and gives it to the woman, and then the woman has it, the man goes gets treated for it, and then the woman gives it back to the man. Um, because women are incubators, so it's going to impact them way worse than it'll impact the man. The usually the man, first time the man realizes that he caught an STD is when it burns when it pees. But until that happens, he could not mistaken sensitive skin around the genital area with hair bump from shaving down there. So you're right. He can get it given to her and get it back from her, but he got tested before she went to Vegas. He was clean. He's not clean now, and he's not clean because she's not clean. That's kind of a concern. So she's not trying to make it seem like she got it from him. She's saying that now that she got caught cheating because the STD gave her away, now she's accusing him of being a cheater as well, which makes absolutely no sense. Yeah, I've seen it. I've seen it. I've seen it. People can pass STDs back and forward. And that's one of the reasons why when one of you gets an STD, it is encouraged that both of you not only get tested, but you also get treated, because there's a thing called a false positive and a false negative. So if one of you is positive and the other one is negative, there is a strong possibility that that negative, you just haven't shown symptoms yet. So when you get tested for STDs like chlamydia and gonorrhea and stuff like that, they typically give you like 2 weeks worth of doses for it just in case, because if one of y'all got it, both of y'all might have it. It just didn't show up on the test yet. And you say, who had the STD first? According to the story, the girl had got the STD when she was in Vegas, and 2 weeks after she got back from Vegas, she started showing signs. And he brought her to the hospital. They disregarded it the first time. He brought her back to the hospital, and then they said that she had a bladder infection, and that's when they ended up testing her for the STD, and that's when they found out she had it. And because she had it, he went back and got tested to find out that he had it. Now that he knows that he's got it, he's like, "What the hell?" Because I've been clean, and you're the only partner I've been with since the last time I got tested. So if you're the only person I've been sleeping with since the last time I got tested, where did the disease come from? Because I didn't get it from myself. And I'm clearly not a carrier because, we've been doing this for a couple of years. My 2023 says clean. My 2024 says clean. I was clean up until I got with you in June, and they've been dating for a while. So that's one of the reasons why I was like, yeah, bro, she's acting an ass now because she's like got him showing receipts and trying to prove that he's not a cheater. But that's deflection behavior from an individual that doesn't take responsibility from their own actions and decisions. If you screwed up, you screwed up. That's all it is. I'm not saying that cheating is not wrong. What I'm saying is that if you decided to cheat, own that shit. That was a decision. That was a proactive choice. There's a difference between somebody taking advantage of you and taking you against your will versus you voluntarily laying down and letting that shit happen. If you choose to smash, male or female, Doesn't matter if you get an STD or not. When you make the conscious choice to smash, after you're done smashing, it is not an accident. You didn't accidentally slip in to the chick, and she didn't accidentally have a dick just slip into her, because y'all should have been fully clothed, and most modern women wear pants and shorts and God knows what else that prevents the accidental slippage. You got no women that I know of that walk around commando style where like the wind can blow and something could just end up in there. It just doesn't happen that way. So when you in it and you put yourself in a position where you're getting laid or whatever the case may be, that cheating, that's a conscious choice. Own that shit. Own it. And the negative fallout of that cheating, own that shit. Just like stealing, just like taking somebody's life, just like crashing somebody's car, just like stealing a car and then crashing it into a cop car. You got to own what you just did, bro. You can't say, "Oh, it was a mistake." Oh, yeah, getting caught was a mistake, but your decision to do it wasn't a mistake. That was a conscious decision that you regret, but you chose to do that. You wasn't fucked up, and that's what a lot of people like to do. They like to get inebriated, and that way they can blame it on the alcohol. Nah, when you drink alcohol and sometimes take recreational drugs, you do it to suppress the anxiety and fear behind the desire of wanting to do it and the fear of the consequences of doing it. So you take a few drugs, you drink a little bit of alcohol, and then you get out there and you make it do what it do. But you're drinking the drinks and taking the drugs so that you can build up the courage to go do it. So you still, before you started taking the drugs, before you started drinking the drink, wanted to do this. So you wanted to do this while you were sober. Now that you're not sober, you're capable of doing it. So you can't blame it on the alcohol. You can't blame it on, oh, I was high. Oh, I got fucked up last night. Oh, I don't know what happened. No, you don't remember what happened. You don't want to remember what happened, but you knew what you were doing while you were doing it. Michael says chlamydia, the symptoms may appear from several days to several years. Oh, ladies and gentlemen, we just learned something new. So if you had chlamydia in the past, it could have been 2 to 3 years ago, and you could be carrying it as a host, and then you could pass it on to your partner. So what you're saying is, Michael, that there are situations where you could have contracted it 3 to 5 years ago, not know about it, never passed the test for it, and got, even though you're tested for it annually, never passed the test on it where they say that you're positive for it, but you actually have it. Then you give it to somebody else, and that starts to fall out in your relationship. That happens because from what I understood is that if you had it, that's the way it works. Damn. Because I understand about the false negatives, meaning that a false negative is when you have it, but it says that you don't have it. Like, but getting that multiple years in a row, because from what I understood, you were supposed to get tested at least 2 times a year, 2 to 3 times a year. And usually when you get tested, they usually give you the drugs for it, even if you don't pass, even if you don't get positive. So I would assume that if you passed the test multiple times, where you're tested negative multiple times, multiple years in a row, that you didn't have it. That would be my assumption. But hey, we just learned something new, ladies and gentlemen, that apparently if your partner ever was exposed to a partner that had it, there is a possibility that your partner has it, which means there's a possibility that you have it, and there's a possibility that you guys can pass it back and forth. That sucks. That sucks. You should probably not just get tested. You should probably get treated more often. That way they make sure that they squash that between the two of you. Just for the sake of, as soon as y'all first start dating, go get tested, get treated. And then every 3 to 6 months, go get tested and get treated. And just make that a regular habit to prevent from having this particular type of scenario. But let's see what else this gentleman has to say about it.
Prioritized finding her 2024 test results to prove her own innocence, even though we were still together at that time, and I had already shown her both my 2023 and 2024 results. It felt like she didn't even care to clear her name, like proving the truth didn't matter to her as much as avoiding the conversation entirely. I've never been to therapy before, but I started recently because I
Hmm.
honestly don't know how to cope. I don't understand how someone can say, I love you first. Tell me they prayed for someone like me. Let me take care of them at their lowest, and then treat me like I was disposable once things got tough. And to make things harder, even just getting my stuff back has turned into this dragged out thing. I get it. Maybe she feels awkward or ashamed facing me. I've been nothing but respectful over text, and the last time we saw each other, so it's not like I'm trying to stir up drama. But instead of just meeting up like adults, she keeps trying to pass it off to mutual friends to avoid me. And now, after we finally agreed to that, and she got her way, she just decides to leave me on read and completely ignore me. After everything I did for her, all the love, care, and time I put into this relationship, it just hits different. It feels like even the smallest bit of respect is too much to ask now. At this point, it's not even about the stuff. It's about how cold and dismissive she's been.
Yeah, you're right. Easy solution. Both get tested at the same time, and that's what I was saying a while back. I know there's like I think a 20-second delay on my video versus your response to it, but yeah, that's the case. When you guys first get together before y'all start getting involved, go get tested, get treated together. Then y'all start doing the nasty. Every 3 months, you get tested and get treated to make sure, just to make sure. And you keep doing that. And as long as you're doing that, nobody should have a test that the other person wasn't there getting tested on, and nobody should have a treatment that the other person wasn't getting treatment on. So honestly, if you guys were getting tested regularly together and getting treated together, you guys would have test records. If you go into the same facility, you guys will have test records on a regular basis for when you got tested. Now, I'm not sure, each state in each city is different, but usually no matter where this person gets tested, there's supposed to be a record of it so that when it pulls up your test results, it usually shows all of the different locations that you've been tested and whether or not you passed or failed those tests in certain states. So if that's the case, unless she's going out of state or going overseas to get tested and everything like that, you're likely to find a discrepancy in the history of testing because one person might get tested more frequently than the other person. And you'd be wondering, well, why is that? Because if they're only going to get tested when you get tested and y'all both pass together and get treated together on a regular basis, in between the two test areas, if there is an affair, one of you will pass and the other one will fail. And it is what it is when that happens. But I can tell that this gentleman here is using the excuse to get his stuff back as an excuse to engage her after the fact. She don't really care. She messed up. The relationship is over. She's hurt. You're hurt. She don't want to see you now. So she don't want to give you your stuff back directly. She's giving you your stuff to your friends so that your friends can give you your stuff. Leave it alone. Just take whatever she's giving you and just run with that. Michael says, actually, it is his fault since it is not uncommon to be masked in the mail, while the girl normally will show up positive. Yeah, well, again, the men will become carriers more often than not, and then the females are incubators, so they're going to see those results drastically progress a whole lot sooner. And having it for a prolonged period of time, you would end up potentially becoming sterile from something like that. Michael says that he had multiple partners. It's a possibility. He could have had multiple partners, um, and he could have passed it along to multiple partners. Oh, before her. Oh, yeah. Well, guys typically don't. Back in the day, guys got around more than girls, but these days, girls get around more than guys do. But the population ratio is 1 to 1. So for every girl that's had 50 guys, they would have had some guy has had each one of these girls at least once, which means that the guy might have 10, but that means that it's a high level of passing the stuff around, which is one of the reasons why they encourage people to use protection.
like none of what we had ever mattered. Maybe I'll never know the full truth about what happened.
He
Deep
said that,
down, I
dog.
probably already know what she did, but she'll never admit it. Maybe because she can't be honest with me or even herself. And that's almost worse than the act itself, because
But
it
see,
leaves
this guy here is going to therapy and everything behind this situation. This is bothering him a lot. And it doesn't sound to me like the kind of person who is out there throwing it back for days and genuinely like having the opportunity to contract something. It seems to me like he's the kind of fella who's lucky to find a chick, and the one chick that he found that accepted him, he put everything into her, and she was out there acting bad because typically the wild behavior happens between like 16 and like 25. And the quicker the guys can get, the dorky guys, the nerdy guys, the not so popular guys typically start late. The more attractive girls typically start early. The more damaged she is, the quicker she switches over to a stable guy. And the more fun she's having, the less responsibility she's trying to seek. So if she was out there enjoying the pleasures of life while she was out in Vegas, because Vegas brings out the worst in people apparently. Uh, it could have been it could have been, I'm not going to say accidental. It could have been a one night stand scenario that was unexpected. It just happened on a 3-day vacation while she was out with the family. It could have, you know. But at the same time, like you said, because men can incubate these things for a while, he could have had it. But more than 2 years, because this will be year three, because he was tested positive in 23 and he tested positive in 24. So he would have had it for 3 years. So that means that there's some guys that could have contracted it um, 7, 8, 9 years ago, and even though they get tested on a regular basis, never prove positive for the test, but still have it and is passing it on to each female that they get involved with, which means that all of these females are walking around passing it on to unsuspecting men. But when is it the woman had it first and gave it to the man before she started contracting the symptoms? If the men are always the ones that are carriers of it, that's an interesting question. But moving on.
me with no real closure. I knew she had her struggles,
He
whether it
wanted
was
closure.
doubt in her academics, family issues, helping plan her sister's wedding in Greece, the stress from her job working with children, or even going through painful tattoo removal because she felt insecure about it. I was by her side through all of it.
Okay, real quick, new question. Why is she getting her tramp stamps removed? She was out there doing dirty and got them. Why is she not living with the shame of having them? I'm gonna be real with you, Michael. Help me out here. If I put a decal on my car, bro, I am not sitting there with a razor blade trying to scrape that shit off. That car will forever have that decal on it till I crash that bitch and get another car. Like there is no reason why I just emboss something stupid into the hood of my car, and now I'm going to spend extra money to take it back off. No, once it's there, it's there. The insurance company's not going to replace it. So when they fuck it up, then they're going to put a standard hood on there. But that's what I'm hoping for when the car gets into a crash, is that damage is removed when the accident is repaired. Make it make
And she
sense
even
now.
asked me for help with her body dysmorphia so I could support her at the gym because she wanted my encouragement and presence there. I supported her
She
because
damn
she
right.
showed me she
But, but what is she advertising though? She's advertising free meat in Vegas. That because when some girls get certain tattoos in certain places on their body, and then they buy outfits that show off and expose the tattoo, and then that tattoo lets other people know that that's a bad girl. She's a rebel. She might be loose. She might be easy. Yep, getting laid. That's what it's about. That's what it's about. And then that further implicates the fact that she went out there to Vegas and attracted the wrong attention and ended up getting STD and giving it to her boyfriend when she got back.
I could push through and fix her problems, but maybe that was only temporary. Looking back, a lot of what I saw might have just been a mirage. Almost a year in, and right after everything with the chlamydia, she suddenly told me, I can't work on myself while in a relationship. She waited nearly a year to say that, after everything I did to be there for her. It
Mm.
breaks my heart, and I know I'll heal eventually. But right now I'm grieving both the relationship and the person I thought I knew. It won't happen overnight, but I'm working on it.
Grieving that damn chlamydia. That's what you grieving, boy.
Should I just shoot my shot? Hey, I am 18 and currently doing an internship via Erasmus Plus. We're a group of 14 people, and I came to like one girl who's currently with us. I've got her phone number and Instagram, and I've really thought about just telling her that I find her cute and that I'd like to get to know her a little better. I've actually never asked out someone or had a relationship yet, and I really wonder whether I should shoot my shot or just stay silent. She just seems nice, and I really want to try it, but I don't know if it's a good decision at all. It's not that I'm insecure or anything. I just don't have any past experiences to gather useful information from. I don't know whether girls like it to just be told they're cute and that I'd like to know them better. It really sucks. My heart says I should try, but my head gasps reasonable doubts. Nevertheless, I want to step out of my comfort zone and initiate things.
All right. So girls get taught that they're beautiful, sexy, cute, attractive, hundreds, if not thousands of times a day, hundreds of thousands of times on social media. But I mean, like in person, they're told that. And they're told it so many times that it doesn't even impact them that much anymore. So a lot of girls are going to take you telling her she's cute or she's beautiful or she's attractive or sexy or something like that as a negative uh, advance. Some are going to take it as a compliment, dismiss it completely because they hear it so many times and they're just going to walk off. My recommendation is that if you're going to shoot your shot, do not compliment her appearance because everybody does that. If you want to stand out with a compliment, give her a deserving compliment. You guys are in an internship. She's got a skill set. Compliment her on her advanced or enhanced capabilities in that skill set. You like the way that she handles the beakers or her ability to be accurate on the distribution of the chemicals, or you find her knowledge on the topic more advanced than the other individuals, which leads to your observation that she's excessively smart. You're intrigued by her attention to detail. It's something that has nothing to do with her physical appearance. You admire her motivation, her dedication to complete the assignments, anything that really points out her characteristics and behavior patterns, not just, oh, you've got pretty curly hair, I love the way your eyes look, you look nice in that outfit, which means I'm staring at you below your neck. uh you don't want to use those. You want to point out like what she does. And then here's the thing. What about her that you like? Not just because she looks good. Some people actually just fall in love with a girl's voice. But I mean, if you like how she communicates is appropriate in comparison to I just love the way your voice sounds. Look, bro, you're one step away from Donald Trump in that press conference when he was like, grab him right in the, you know what I'm saying? And you got you got to steer away from that and lean more towards really finding a valuable compliment if you're going to compliment her. But if not, if you're, because I've said on the show plenty of times before, don't compliment him at all. Don't compliment him at all. And ladies, you're going to be like, oh, he's an asshole. No, before you go there, check this out. Don't compliment her at all because a non legitimate compliment is worthless. You're not telling her she's cute because you don't know what to say. If she is in fact cute, then whatever. But typically, guys don't know what to say. Oh, I thought you were cute. No. What about her from across the room, from the other side of the internship, made you stop focusing on your damn job and start looking at this chick walk by? What was that? That is what you're complimenting. That's what you're saying. You caught my attention when you was wherever she was doing whatever it is that she was doing. Doesn't matter the fact that you were staring at her because you like the way her body is shaped. The fact is that while she was titrating the beaker or using the distillation chamber and how she was putting together, assembling the equipment in the lab, you caught wind of her. It is a more appropriate way to say that when you pass me by, you got my attention. You got my attention when you pass me by, and now I want to get to know you better. So now you're not complimenting her by just saying, "Oh, you're attractive." You're telling her, "Hey, I saw you, and this is why I saw you, and now I want to know who you are." Now, from there, if she deservingly, for example, if you ask her out on a date and she puts on her best outfit for you, that's the day you're supposed to tell her she's attractive. When you're dating her on a regular basis and she asks you how she looks, that's the day you're supposed to tell her that she's cute, she's sexy, she's adorable. But the day that you meet her, no, tell her the truth. I saw you from across the room when you were picking that box up off the floor, and that's the moment that I knew I needed to shimmy on over there and see how you shake. Just be legit. Just be legit, you know, because that the authenticity, the genuineness, that's something that we're missing in 2025. So giving cliche responses and giving cliche startup conversations, you're going to get dismissed really quickly. You're going to get dismissed really quickly. Your most effective tool in modern 2025 is genuine honesty and starting from the beginning. What made you start talking to her? What made you start looking at her? What made you start watching her? How long you've been waiting to build up the courage to go talk to her? Because if you've been eyeing her for the last 2 weeks of your internship, the first day she caught your attention, she was doing what? That's how you explain it to her. Then you have had a secret crush on her since then, which is highly attractive for her. And you have been building up the courage to tell her, which expresses vulnerability, which also more attractive to her. And now that you have the courage to tell her, you're hoping that she would give you the opportunity to get to know her better, preferably on a date away from the office, putting yourself out on a limb, see how she responds to it. I'm more than positive she would receive that better than I think you're cute. Maybe we can go to Starbucks. E. All right, let's move on to the next one.
Should I let my boyfriend sleep? My boyfriend,
Yes.
who's 31 and I'm 30, live together.
Hold on, before she keeps going. Yes, if your boyfriend is sleeping, let him sleep. If your husband is sleeping, let him sleep. If you have a man in a bed that you can see, do not wake him up unless there is a fire, somebody is bleeding externally, there is a death in the vicinity of him that he needs to be involved in. If he did not tell you to wake me up for specific meeting, appointment, or whatever, don't let him be late for work, but don't wake him up outside of that. Let him sleep. Because y'all be waiting until a man calls himself trying to get some damn rest, and then y'all be trying to find shit for a man to do. Let his ass sleep. Because if he's still asleep, he fucking tired. Because shoe on the other foot, ladies, no man that respects his woman is going to wake her up insignificantly over some bullshit. He gonna see her laying there sleep. Oh, she looks so cute. Probably take a couple photos of that shit and then go make her some breakfast in bed or something. But he not gonna wake you up. You're gonna be the one scratching your weave, talking about some. trying to readjust your lace front when you get up, wiping the drool off your face and stuff, getting the hair out your eyeball and stuff. Why you ain't wake me up, honey? Because you asleep. Nah, shoe on the other foot, same scenario. You'd have been and kicked his ass out the bed, snatched all the sheets off the top of the bed and shit, talk about something. Get up, nigga. And why? He like, why you didn't let me sleep? Cause be a man. No, let that man sleep, girl. Let him sleep. But let's see what she bitching about.
About a month ago, we got a puppy. He really wanted one. I wasn't really convinced because I know how big of a commitment that is, and how much of your free time and social life we were going to have to give up. I only had a cat prior to the relationship. Also worth mentioning is that I'm introverted and my boyfriend is extroverted. And lastly worth mentioning before getting into the story is I have an office job, and my boyfriend has a blue-collar job. So while trying to convince...
Pause. All right. So make sure y'all like and subscribe. For those of y'all that are watching us from Twitch and Twitter, make sure that y'all hit that follow button. And then the rest of y'all on YouTube, make sure y'all like, subscribe as y'all come through here and take advantage of those reaction buttons. But she just answered her own damn question. The man is working a blue collar job. Blue collar jobs are manual labor jobs. Manual labor jobs means that when you put a lot of physical labor at work, your ass is tired at home, and then you take your ass to bed. So re-answering her question, let that man sleep. But let's see what else she bitching about.
Me to get the puppy, he was telling me about all the walks he used to go on with prior dogs, and how well he trained them, etc. How much he misses it, and how he would enjoy doing this again. Blah blah blah. We got the puppy 8-week-old. I am in a fortunate enough position to take the puppy to work during the day, only until he is old enough to stay home alone. This has been a mission as he is getting busier and busier during the day. I take lots of toys with me, but he still requires attention. And I try to not let him irritate my coworkers. Spending the whole day with me, the puppy obviously bonded with me more than my boyfriend. I obviously also feed him. During the nights I used to get up sometimes 4 times to let the puppy out. It's been better now and he mostly wakes me up twice. But I haven't slept through the night in the last month that we had the puppy. My boyfriend is also dead to the world when he sleeps and I'm a light sleeper. I have a stressful job and I'm feeling overwhelmed and exhausted because I have deadlines and I need to take care of a puppy during the day and night.
Hold on. What it sounds to me like he got you a dog and made it seem like it was for him, because you the introvert, you the person that don't like folks. Y'all don't got no children together, and this the closest thing to a child that y'all gonna have, because you work a lot and he work a lot. And now you got something that you can care about while his ass is at work. It sound to me like you not paying attention to what just happened. It sounded to me like he got you a dog. And he used the excuse that he would like to have one in the house. Because you put way more effort into what's supposed to be his dog than what any person would do with a his dog. But I can tell you, I got dogs, and my dogs. I'm lucky that he don't try, because I'm talking about it. He don't try climbing in my lap during this live podcast. But I take him out 3-4 times a day and 2 times a night, and it's been that way for the last 3.5-4 years. And the other one that I had, I would take her out 12 twice a night, or not twice a night, twice a day, once every 10 to 15 hours. And but that one, 12 years old, 12 and a half now, would be able to take her out, and it was like clockwork. It got to a point where I could just swing the door open and go back to bed, and then when I find the dogs in the house, I go and close the door, kind of thing. Uh, but the first, from 8 weeks old to like 9 months old, they're a handful, like raising babies. But like raising babies, the child stay with the mama until the child can walk. And then when the child can run on its own, then it go with daddy and go do stuff. Now that the child is self-sufficient, now come with me. We're gonna go be productive together, like Curious George. But as long as little bastard was in diapers and wasn't able to crawl nowhere like Rugrats, he wasn't taking it too many places unless mom wasn't available.
I get home at about 16:30-17-00, and my boyfriend gets home at about 17 to 1800 hours. This also means I cook. Unless my boyfriend picks up takeout maybe once a week. Afternoons we are both tired, but the puppy has lots and lots of energy and just wants to play. We started going on afternoon walks to just tire him out a bit. But sometimes my boyfriend just skips this as he is too tired and his body is sore from working. During the week, we made plans to go to a dog park today, Saturday, to tire the puppy out, socialize him a bit, and have a picnic, and overall just a date day for the first time since the puppy came. This morning I got up at about 7 when the puppy woke me up again. I made breakfast and packed our picnic basket. My boyfriend was still sleeping. Bear in mind we went to bed at about 22:00-ish on Friday. At 10 o'clock I took him breakfast in bed.
Oh,
He ate.
hold on, y'all. She said they went to bed at 10 o'clock. They went to bed at 10 o'clock. No, yeah, 10 o'clock. Because 2,300 hours is 11 o'clock. So they went to bed at 10 o'clock. Michael said, no, no, no. This is made up. Never heard of a girl use military time. Look, when I seen that, you heard me. I said, "Oh shit," because she's throwing out 1,500 hours. She's throwing out. Boyfriend doesn't have a name. No, she trying to set him up. I don't make this stuff up, bro. I just copy and paste it into a voice to text. It she claiming that she got a dog that it was supposed to be for him and all of it. It sounded to me like he got her a dog because she don't go nowhere. She don't socialize with nobody. And giving this dog to her, give her something that she can love while he at work, and it occupies her time. That's what it sounds like to me. Because when she said 1,700 hours, that's 5 o'clock. So she getting off at 5 o'clock. He going to bed at 10 o'clock. She talking about something. He getting back at like 8 o'clock. He tired as fuck, and she's like, "Oh, I got up at 7 a.m." and he's still tired from being at work. He's a Harley Quinn romance novel. Yeah, because she trying to beat this man to death behind the damn dog, talking about some waking him up. Fuck you mean wake this man up? Why can't you let him sleep? But she talk about some, oh, she got up at 7, she made breakfast, packed the picnic and shit. He's still sleeping. She mad. Well, if you want him to get up and go on a picnic with you, then wake his ass up. He probably gonna stay asleep, sleep in late, and then get up and go to the picnic rested when you wake him up. But I mean, I would have let his ass sleep. I would have
Got
took the
up and went
dog.
for a smoke outside. When he got outside, I asked him
Oh
if he
shit.
could please just play with the puppy outside while I quickly mopped the floor. He told me no, he is going to take the puppy back to bed with him. The puppy then fell off the bed as he wanted to play. By 12 o'clock I asked him if we are still going to the park. He then asked if we could do it tomorrow. Now it's 15:30, he is still sleeping. I went to him now, asked him if he
3:30.
is sick. He said no. I asked him if he is depressed. He said no. I asked him if he is hungover. He said no. He sees nothing wrong with him still being asleep. The whole day is wasted. There is nothing left. He will have no time for me, no time for the puppy. And he said he is going to help me train him today. I already taught him the basics like sit, down and paw. He has done nothing.
That is not the basics. Sit and down are the same damn thing. And then paw is a trick. That gets a treat. Where actually the dog trains you with that because every time he gives you his paw, he expects you to give him a treat. But when you tell him to get off of stuff so that he's not on stuff and so go sit his ass down, you could train your dog better talking to him like you talk to a 3-year-old that don't follow instructions. You get all kind of obedience out your dog. But what is he supposed to say? Come with me when it's time to go. Yeah, you know what I mean, I got hand signals and stuff. They got these right here that train your dog real well. You push the top button, it makes noise. You put the middle button, it makes vibrations, and you put the last button, and electrocutes the fuck out of them when they don't pay attention. That's what I'm trying to get y'all to understand. It's like they bullshit. He said 15-30 hours. Yeah, bro. She talk about stuff 3:30 in the afternoon now. She bitching. 3:30 in the afternoon. This man, this is day off. His first day off. She ain't the one thing she did not do was talk about how he might work a 11 or 12-hour overnight shift or a 10-hour midday shift. And if he been at work all day, especially because he's working a manual labor job, if he was working the one of those manual labor jobs that's like 12 hours on, 12 hours off, and he got 1 day off now, his sleep schedule is fucked up because he's been awake for 12 to 18 hours. And now he's going to recover sleep, which means he's going to be asleep for a day and a half. It's sometimes that happens, and people don't understand that. The you break your normal sleep cycle by working 10 and 12-hour days, because from the time you wake, normal children will sleep 8 hours. Adults typically sleep 6 hours. The other 18 hours, you've got adults that travel to and from work up to 2 hours in one direction and then work the job. So if you've got 4 hour round trip commute to and from work and then 10 hours on the job, that's 14 hours awake. 6 hours sleep, that's 20 hours. You've got 4 hours to be at home awake, period. If you're lucky and you're closer to your job where you only got a 1 hour round trip scenario, then you might have 2 extra hours, which means you might have 6 hours at the house awake. But if that 6 hours is 3 hours after you get off from work and 3 hours before you get up from work, you have the 2 hours that you spend taking a shower, getting something to eat, and leaving to go to work. And then you have the 1 hour of resting your feet from being on them all day, 1 hour of shower time, and then one more hour to wind down so that you can go to sleep because you only got 6 more hours before you got to get back up again. So you still don't have a convenient time schedule for the first day off. You have to have 2 days off in a row and plan something on the second day. That is the only way that you would be guaranteed that your boyfriend gonna get up and go where he gotta go. Seniors got 2 hours or less. Yeah, a senior citizen might sleep 4 hours. They got less life than the rest of us, but a senior citizen might sleep 2 to 4 hours, and that be it. And then the rest of the time they are up, they're awake. They ain't got nothing to do, but they're awake. And I think that's miserable. How are you awake 22 hours a day and you're not doing shit? That is boring as fuck. I mean, I know inmates with 1 hour yard time that will find a way to take their ass to bed or do something, do some work out in the yard, get you some PT time, something. Well, you got to get up to pee. But that, when you get up to go to the bathroom, it breaks your sleep. It breaks your sleep for the rest of the night. So if you don't stay up long enough to get that one good pee in, so that when you go to bed, you're not going to wake up for 6 hours. If you wake up 2.5 hours from now because you had too much to drink, you done. You're not going back to sleep. So look, I had the same problem. Every 2 hours, wake up, go to the bathroom, go back to bed. Every 2 hours. Look, right now, I'm waiting until the podcast. That's the first thing I do when I get off the podcast is go to the bathroom. The last thing I do before I get on the podcast is go to the bathroom. Podcast like 2.5 hours long. And I went to the bathroom right before the podcast started, and I'm going to the bathroom as soon as the podcast is. That's just how it is. The older we get, ladies, some things just start becoming more and more frequent. And happy endings is less frequent. That's the weird part, isn't it? But yeah, she over here fussing about this dude.
In terms of training so far, will I be the AH if I go wake him up again? Or should I leave him to sleep whatever this is off? He slept the whole day last Saturday as well.
Yes, you'd be an asshole if you wake him up, because he's not sleeping off anything other than fucking exhaustion. That's what he's sleeping off. He's sleeping off the fact that he is burned out. Burnout causes more fatigue than being at, because you don't know what he's doing all day long. Okay, so real quick, you have physical fatigue and mental fatigue. Mental fatigue comes from extreme levels of stress, and physical fatigue comes from extreme activity. So the lady can have mental fatigue on her job, because she's working on a computer. And that mental fatigue, she can wear that off with a good night's sleep. Physical fatigue is not going to get worn off. And if he's working on a physically and mentally strenuous job where he not only has physical fatigue, he has mental fatigue as well, he may have slept off the physical exhaustion from the job and now he's sleeping off the mental stress. Y'all don't think about that part. And if he did this last week and the week before and the week before, stop making plans on Saturday. If he's got Saturday and Sunday off, make plans on Sunday afternoon. Not even Sunday morning, Sunday afternoon. That gives him a day and a half to get out of bed. Soon as he starts wandering around the living room trying to find a remote, let's go outside. Let's get you some sun. But if he's not getting out of bed, besides to go to the bathroom and go hold the dog until the dog falls off the bed, that's it. If you want to be a good girlfriend, when the dog fell off the bed, put the dog on his back. That way the dog can have fun on his back while he's trying to sleep. Some of y'all like, well, that's counterproductive. No, he wanted that fucking dog. Play with it while you sleep. But it's gonna be in a room with you until you get up. And then when you get up, the three of us can go do something. That's just the way it is. I had one more and I didn't put it on here. And the reason why I didn't put it on here because I didn't know exactly how long these were going to take. So real quick, the one that I had, there was a question of what is a good age range for a 19-year-old boy to date girls? So we got a lot of fellas in the podcast today. Michael, what do you think? Oh, she's controlling as fuck. She's controlling as fuck. That's what I'm trying to tell you. If when he get up, she got it. When she gets up, he got to get up. When she want to do something, he got to do something. Yes, she controlling as fuck. But the downside is that these are the women that we marry. We don't know what we're getting into until we got them already, and because we've invested in them, we're trying to mitigate the situation. But some people consider a controlling woman as a woman that knows what she's want and very decisive. No, that's not cool. You're not looking for a yes girl. You're not looking for a chick that only moves when you give her instructions. You're looking for a self-sufficient woman that'll get shit done while you're asleep. But the other part is, special shout out to Mike. The other part is that you're looking for the kind of female that's not gonna sit there and fuck up your whole day. That doesn't always happen. We don't realize that. But back to the question. The question was, and you can ask this, Michael, answer this. So we got two Michaels. We got Mike and Michael. What is the appropriate age range for a 19-year-old boy to date a girl? And Michael says that at 19, 17 and above is appropriate. Now, the legal standard in the United States is that if they're under the age of 18, you at 19 can still go to prison. So if you don't keep it strictly platonic until her 18th birthday, and she cannot send you nude photos of her because that's considered child pornography until she's 18 years of age, you cannot at 18 or 19 years old date anybody under the age of 18 legally. Now, high school romance, holding hands, talking at school, doing homework together, playing video games, falling off a bicycle, skateboarding, going to the beach, all that other stuff, fine. Perfectly fine between 17 and 18. But making out, hands under clothes, body to body contact, you gotta wait until they're 18. You just can't do it. You're gonna have to be like she's gonna have to be untouched until she is 18 and 3 days. That way you can prove that she was grown before you got in there. See it all. I see it all the time too. But the thing is that in modern times, because men have a whole lot more danger to deal with than women in modern times, the fellas will get got not because of the girl that he's dating, but because of her parents. Either mom or dad will not like the boyfriend and then get the boyfriend arrested for dating the daughter. All it takes is for one person to make that call. It doesn't have to be the little girl being bitter because y'all broke up. It just has to be the parents being sour because they don't want their child to be with you. So as a man, you got to be careful. You have to get consent from the parents before you start doing anything with this chick because at 19 years old, they got to know that you're 19 years old. He said, what? Sex in the parents' bed while mom and dad is out of the house. Yeah, that's true. And that's what you got to avoid. So at 19 years old, you've got to gain the parents' trust first and foremost, and then be the responsible person in the relationship so that until she's 18, you don't get caught up. Because if you sneaking and they find you falling out the bedroom window or some shit, you going to jail. If you creeping and they find out about that shit, you going to jail. That's just the way things go. Now, a 19-year-old girl can date a 17 or 16-year-old boy and nobody will say shit. Dad will high five the son. Mom will say, "Oh, she's a sweet girl. She's got nice ambition and blah blah blah." But roles reverse. 16-year-old girl, 19-year-old boy, he is going to jail. He is an offender. He is a pedo. They just get him with all kinds of stuff. It is not the same. So at 18 and 19 years old, you're better to date in your age group or up. From 18 to 25. That's where you should park yourself at when you're 18 and 19 years old. You should just draw the line at 18 to 25 because no matter what you do, appropriate or inappropriate, it is legal in the United States if you're both over the age of 18. But what you do when one of y'all are under the age of 18 could get the other one locked up. So just don't go there. Don't go there. But remember this though, for all those females that are sitting there saying, "You 19-year-old dating a 16-year-old." Yeah, 18-year-old girls dating 70-year-old men. You got the 24-year-old girls dating 68-year-old men. You got 25-year-old girls dating 40 and 50-year-old men on a regular basis. The mathematical equation is half of his age plus 7, which doesn't necessarily work at 20 because half of his age plus 7 is 17, and that will put him in jail. But like 22, that might work because half of his age is 11 plus 7 is 18. So from 22 and up, half of his age plus 7, that's probably what you're going to see. But that also means that a 40-year-old is going to date a 27-year-old. A 50-year-old is going to be dating like a 30-year-old or a 32-year-old. You'll see a 60-year-old dating a 37-year-old. But you typically see, depending on which country they're going to, you typically see that a 60-year-old dating a 25 or 28-year-old, a 50-year-old dating a 25 or 28-year-old, a 40-year-old dating a 25 or 28-year-old, because all of the men are going after a woman that's old enough to drink and young enough to bear children, while all the women are going after a man that's got over $100,000 a year. It's 18 and up. It's 18 and up. But like the dynamic statistically is legal dating age 18 or legal drinking age 21 and biologically capable of reproducing under the age of 30. Because you can get more kids out of a 25-year-old than what you can get out of a 30-year-old. Typically in Western culture, you're probably going to max out at 5. But the younger she is, the longer y'all can date before you have your first kid. And that actually makes the relationship more solid, which doesn't put pressure on the girlfriend and allows the children to be a little less forced and a little more accepted, and then kind of brings a little bit more harmony into the relationship. So that's one of the reasons why the age range is the way it is. But then you also have the younger women looking for financial stability, and men don't get their shit together until the man is in his late 40s, early 50s, 60s, 70 years old. So 18 through 25 or 18 through 28, the women that are looking for financial stability are probably going to find that in a man that is twice her age. So if she's 18, she'll find a man that is 48 that'll do for her what she's looking for. She's 28. She'll find a man that's 52 that'll do for her what she wants done. But she's not going to find that in a 24-year-old. She's not going to find that in a 25-year-old because guys don't start getting their shit together until they're almost 35. So when you're looking for financial stability, you're not looking for that in a man that's in his 20s. You're looking for financial stability in a man that's in his mid 40s or higher. And if you're looking for reproduction, you're not looking for it in a woman that's over 30. You're looking for it in women that are in their 20s. So that cross dynamic That's where the dating game comes from. Yeah, so that's all we got for today with the questions and comments from the fans. I really appreciate everybody who did stop by. Mike, Michael, and the other gentleman that slid through here. I forgot his name. Greg and Marshall. That's who it was. Martial arts. Uh and then Steven from Twitter. I really appreciate you guys for coming to tonight's show. Tomorrow we're going to be diving into, hold on. He said, when do girls get their stuff together? When they marry a man that's got his stuff together. Let you think about that for a second. It is socially acceptable for a woman to be 35 years old and not have her stuff together. It is socially acceptable for a girl to be 28 years old with 3 children and not have her stuff together. It is socially acceptable for a woman to be in her 40s and not have her stuff together. It's harder because she's less desirable by men that are not looking for just a companion. So actually, yeah, I'm about to wrap it up. I wanted to answer your question before I slid though, but the women that are still able to reproduce between 20 and 30 years old, they cannot have their stuff together and a guy will save them. Likewise, the women that are between 30 and 35, they could still potentially give at least one kid to the relationship. And those women, if they're willing to be cooperative, can still be saved by a dude. But socially, they do not have to have their stuff together to get into a relationship. That does not mean that women are not responsible, and that does not mean that women are not successful. It just means that they're not required by social standards to be responsible or successful at any age. But men must be responsible or successful to be considered valuable, and men do not achieve that until their 40s. And it's usually 3/4 of a man's life before he reaches the peak levels of success that he's going to get in his life. 3/4 of his life is 3 out of 4 innings, or 3 out of 4 quarters. You understand? So, if he's at 40, 45, 50, that's 75% of his life. Now he's successful. The remaining 25% of his life, he can enjoy that with you. If he's still trying to get his shit together at 40, he's going to be grinding till he dies. It is what it is. Because if you create a 20-year plan at 40 years old, you're going to be 60 before you're successful. And if you have 15 years to celebrate it between 60 and 85, that's the last quarter of your life. So notice it takes 75% of a man's life to become financially successful. But a woman never has to be successful to get a man. She just has to be willing and able. That's it. Now, with that being said, I want to say, ladies, as long as the situation doesn't make sense, I'm going to keep asking you, ladies, to make it make sense. So, ladies, please make it make sense. Again, I let you guys know that tomorrow we're going to be talking about the different areas of loans and how the wealthy benefit from utilizing them. And then Tuesday, we're going to be talking about our portfolio that is cash dividend exclusive, so that you'll know what kind of platform that you can trade with, getting 100% cash payouts off of your investments, and potentially look at some of the ones that we could add to our dividend rotation strategy, because we just found like 10 more stocks that we can look into. And beyond that, remember that we're going to be following through with our dividend rotation strategy for the rest of the week, letting you guys know which ones we're going to be buying into coming next. And in addition to that, if there's any other financial information that we come across, we will be letting you guys know. But we do have all the way through Wednesday up there on the show. I do want to give a special shout out to Bangladesh, because they have been watching us heavily this past month, and I really appreciate you guys from Bangladesh. Special shout out to y'all. We're going to be adding y'all into the top 10 or top 20 list that we have on the show, because Bangladesh and India has been watching us for a lot. We've been getting watched worldwide. So I really appreciate you guys around the world for showing us love. Um, and then again, 70% of this channel is male driven from the male's perspective. So all of this information is tuned to the betterment of men to help build the higher value men. But ladies, y'all can utilize this information as well because the information that I give is not gender exclusive. Even my relationship advice is not unilaterally tuned to only men benefit from this, because if you're experiencing what men experience, you can utilize that advice to improve your decision making process in your relationships as well. And fellas, as the ladies are taking this information and using it to make themselves higher value women, you now will be able to find yourself more valuable women, because these women will be thinking more the way men are thinking. And if you can find you a partner that has the same train of thought that you do in business, finance, and social structure, regardless of what their upbringing was and what their core values are, if you guys can agree on how to become a successful together, then you have a stable relationship that you guys can work towards. So with that being said, I want to thank you guys for coming to This and That, where we talk about this, that, and everything in between. I'm your host, Xander, and I will see you guys.
My network is my net worth. Choose your company wise. Surround yourself with eagles, not with sheep in disguise. Every interaction is a reflection of my brand. Quality over quantity, that's my personal command. I'm not landing on higher ground where excellence is found. My potential knows no bounds, raising the bar, breaking ground.